Our ninth baby, little Miriam, is already a month old, which means I've had a month to get used to doing things with a new baby. Of course, this isn't the first time I've had a new baby. 8 times I've had to figure out how to add a new baby and still take care of my family and all of the other responsibilities that I have. And I've learned a few things over the years. I started having babies almost 17 years ago. My oldest is going to turn 17 this fall. I was a lot younger. I had a lot less experience back then, and so much about my life and our family looks completely different some 17 years later. I'm about to have my 40th birthday next month, so I guess you could say that by now I've pretty much sorted out which things are important to worry and stress about and which things aren't. I definitely feel a bit more laid back about having a new baby than I did all those years ago. A lot more laid back, let's just say. There are still, of course, challenges with adding a new baby, but it's a lot different too when there are children of all ages in the home. Possible. I thought you said they why it won't work. Of course, the most challenging aspect of having a new baby while trying to get done the things that you need to get done for your home and for your family is that you need to figure how to do all of that one-handed, because babies love to be held and love attention, especially newborn babies. Since I have a large family, there's a lot of people to spread out giving that attention to the baby. All right, go see if there's any more in there, okay? You want more Wowai?
Yeah.
All right, go see if there's, go bring it to the kitchen, see if there's any more in there. Okay. Oh, don't jump. Don't jump around her. Do you want to give Miriam a kiss?
I think you can do it.
Oh, Thea wants to hold her. You want to hold baby? Character.
Okay.
Most of the time, I rely heavily on my favorite woven wrap when I need to get stuff done around the house, because it's hard to do stuff one-handed, and baby feels so secure and snuggly, and she can take all of her naps right in my wrap, and I can move about with the things that I need to get done. Newborns do tend to sleep a lot. I try to get a bulk of the things like starting lunch or dinner prep while they're sleeping. Oh my goodness. Each time I have a baby, I feel like I'm moving up to the next level. There's always a few new challenges and a few things I need to let go, especially in those first weeks following baby's birth, where I'm just trying to adjust to the new normal with a new baby. One thing that's made that transition really easy for our family is having our freezer full of healthy, from scratch staples that can bail us out when life gets a little bit crazy. I want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. Wild Grain partners with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to keep artisanal and nutritious food alive. Wild Grain has options to suit everyone's individual needs. Plus you can customize your box with your favorite products. There's a classic box, a plant-based box, and also even a gluten-free box. Wild Grain uses an artisanal process and slow fermentation, which I am a huge advocate of. No matter what season of life you're in, whether you can make that yourself or source quality products from Wild Grain. They focus on clean, climate-friendly, and seasonal ingredients, and I love that you can freshly bake at home, so you still have that from scratch bakery style taste and texture, and they donate 4 meals for every new member. Head to the link down in the description box below for $30 off your first order plus free croissants for life when you use my partner code FARMHOUSE at checkout. This morning we had sourdough crepes for breakfast. That is one of my favorite things to make because it uses up a lot of eggs. Also, the kids absolutely love crepes, especially because we have the cream cheese and whipped cream filling. Once I have my skillets going and at the right temperature, it goes really quickly and I can get them eating breakfast before we do our school time. I have a few tasks I want to also accomplish here this morning. I'm really getting back into the groove in my kitchen. I didn't make yogurt or broth or sourdough bread all through my maternity break where I was really trying to lay low and rest and heal up. Well, I'm ready to get a lot of those things going again. So this morning I am making yogurt with a gallon of milk. This is a super simple process, especially if you have an Instant Pot. Now I do also like to make my broth in the Instant Pot, but today since I am making both, I'm just putting broth on the stove and I'll let it simmer all throughout this morning and this afternoon. Now I do need a little bit of broth for lunch, so I'll pull some off for that once it's been simmering for a couple of hours. Then I'll let it continue going and it'll develop more flavor and more nutrition throughout the day and the evening. I do have how to make bone broth and how to make yogurt in the Instant Pot on my website, as well as the sourdough crepes. I'll leave that link below. Now for lunch, I'm going to show you all a new recipe that is over on my site that we have been loving because it uses seasonal ingredients like apples. And then we also have a lot of pork chops right now because I got a whole hog from one of my sisters. So we have a lot of pork because we're nearly out of beef. I'm waiting for my sister's next beef harvest coming this month, actually. So I've been trying to find a lot more ways to use up pork, and we love pork chops in our family. And this recipe for 1-pan pork chops with apples over on the site is just so good and easy. Now, on my recipe, I do call for regular boned-in pork chops, but when I call into the butcher, when I am getting a half or a whole hog, which typically now we're just getting a whole at a time, I actually have them take the bones out, which I know makes it less flavorful. Then you don't have the bones. You can't make a broth with it. I understand. They go from being a very, very easy thing to cut up and serve to the family when they don't have bones versus when they do have bones. And so for a quick and easy meal, which I'm looking for very often, the boneless pork chops are just so easy and fast, and I can get them served and cut up very, very easily. So that's what I'm going to be using today, and I'll serve it with rice. One of the most common questions I get, whether it's in real life or on the internet, is how to get stuff done with kids, with babies. When it comes to babies, I can never recommend to new moms highly enough to get a good wrap, whether it's a stretchy wrap or a woven wrap or even a soft structured carrier, whatever it is you get comfortable with and the baby feels very secure and it's easy for you to take off and on throughout the day, just will change your life. There are so many times where I'm sitting there in the morning, I come downstairs with the baby, I'm sitting there drinking coffee. Usually she's wide awake first thing in the morning. Most babies are kind of like that. And then after a little while, she gets fussy. And a lot of times I'll get her to sleep in my arms by nursing her. And then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, now how do I get up and do anything? Because I have this baby in my arms and she's sleeping. And if I lay her down, we all know that she will wake up because babies don't like to be put down. At least most don't. I've heard people tell me that they've had babies that have. I never have. And then there's always this moment where I remember that I need to get up, put on my wrap, put the baby securely in the wrap, and then I can do what I need to do. I'm looking at children that need breakfast. I'm looking at potentially a dirty kitchen or laundry. And it can be really overwhelming when you're also holding a baby. But as simple as it might sound, a wrap changes all of that. Lower than yet. Okay, there you go.
It's full. Yeah, I got it. Do you like this one?
Let me see.
Mom, do you like pink? Is it good almost? Is that long enough?
A little longer. Try to go down to here.
Mom, what about here? This?
Little lower. Oh, this is, we went nice and long. And then I can always trim it back if I need to trim it more.
Corn. See, Mom, look, now they're almost the same length.
I needed some Greek yogurt for a recipe I'm making today, so I strained off some of the yogurt that I made yesterday so that a lot of the whey was removed and I had some thick Greek yogurt. I do this by putting it in a flour sack towel and hanging it over a bowl. The longer you let it sit, the thicker it will get. If you let it go too long and it's too thick, you can always add some whey or milk back in to thin it down. Now, the whey, of course, is a probiotic rich food, full of protein too, so it's good to reserve to put in smoothies. Now, today I am milling up some soft white wheat berries to make a new apple cake recipe that is over on the blog. Now, as you know, all of the recipes on the blog are just with all-purpose flour, but they're very, very easy to substitute whole grains for, and I've shared so many tips for that on here just throughout my normal everyday vlogs. But basically what I'm doing is when it is a bread, something that you need to develop the gluten on, where you're stretching and folding or kneading, I do hard white wheat. And when it is something like a cake or cookies, I do soft white wheat. And it really does make such a difference. It's so much more delicious to use soft wheat. And the kids can't even tell the difference. The adults, in some ways, I think it tastes better. Luke loves it because he knows that it's healthier. So you're getting cake, but yet it's healthy. So this is the exact apple cake recipe over on the blog, except for I'm doing 140 grams of soft white wheat per cup of flour that the recipe calls for. I like to weigh my wheat berries before putting them through the mill so that you get the exact amount. So I just, instead of using cup measurers, I put my bowl on my scale, tear it out, and then put 140 grams per cup of whatever I'm making, and then put it through the mill and start adding the rest of the dry ingredients. It really couldn't be more simple to sub out whole grains for all purpose. Now, if you want more in-depth information, I do have a course called Freshly Milled Grains. I released that several months ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. But I will leave a link down to that in the description box below if you want some more hands-on of how to mill grains, how to substitute it in all of your recipes. But once you get the hang of it, it's not something you have to think about. You can take any recipe you find on the internet, whether it's mine or anyone else's, and you can substitute whole grains very easily and with success with just knowing a few key things. I could easily count this for a breakfast as well, this apple cake. With such wholesome ingredients, it would be a great way to start your day, especially with a big glass of raw milk. I also am making the caramel topping. Honestly, sometimes I think I should just double this because it makes it so good. I'm like, why don't we just have this just dripping off the cake? Back to the baby in the wrap, which you can see now my wrap has gotten dirty because I wear it so often. It often goes into the washer in the evening once I'm done with everything for the day, and then in the dryer overnight to be reused the next day. I've had people tell me that their babies don't like wraps. When you first put a baby in the wrap, they're usually not instantly settled. It takes a little bit of bouncing and patting, possibly a pacifier. I just want to encourage you that if it feels like your baby hates it when you first put him or her in there, it could possibly be they just need a little bit more encouragement to like it. Every year in May and October, I go through our kids' clothes. Usually this just means that I take inventory of what they have, I get rid of anything that has holes or stains, and then I make a list of what we need to do to fill in the gaps. Today I took it one step further. I brought every last piece of clothing I have for children into this room. I mean, the tubs outside that are in the garage, the clothes that are in every single drawer. Now, I'm just talking about my 6 boys. I didn't worry about the older girls or the baby girl because the baby girl has just a very few amount of clothes. It doesn't feel overwhelming to me. But the boys' clothes, the 6 boys, were feeling like they just needed a complete and total overhaul. Now, I did not show you the huge pile of clothing that me and my older daughter went through together. We kind of tackled this together, but I went through it and then I got out my phone, my notes app, took diligent inventory, made lists of anything that we needed. We really didn't need all that much because we had things just stored away. They were in the wrong drawers. So some of the 5-year-olds' clothes were in the 7-year-olds' baskets, and some of the 3-year-olds' clothes were in the 1-year or the 2-year-olds. It just got all jumbled up and messed up. And that typically happens when I haven't done a complete inventory in the last 6 months. But this time it just felt even worse. And so it felt like it needed this big revamp. It's funny though, the way we build these things up in our head, or at least I build these things up in my head, because it kept being something on my list that like I need to go through those kids' clothes. Like it was going to be a really big deal. Didn't even take 2 hours to go through all of the clothes. And I'm already feeling so much better about it. Everybody's stuff feels very manageable. I went very minimal. I was talking to my sister and realizing that I think I go minimal, and she goes even more so minimal. And it makes it to where when you wash a load of clothes every day, kids can usually get what they need out of the dryer or just out of their respective basket. But when they have a minimal amount, you tend to lose less things. You tend to only have things that really work for the season ahead. I also wanted to keep a stash of church shirts, but I feel very good about the clothing right now. It feels doable. We all know where to get the things that we need. Nobody is confused on what's theirs or where their items are. The only thing that made this a little bit tougher this year is it felt like fall for like a week, and then it went to summer again, even though it's October and fully fall. Usually by the time it's October, I can get rid of all the short sleeve shirts and the shorts and just have what we need for fall and winter. But this time I did have to keep back a few pairs of shorts, and I'll just remove those when a few weeks from now it's securely cold. I want to take you out to the farm to give you a little update on things happening there, like I usually do in all of my vlogs. The first thing is the stone was delivered for the garage. So we are doing what's called, we're going to call this a car barn. It's really just our garage, but we very much want it to look like an old stone barn. So we chose a field stone that hopefully will give it that look. I definitely imagine that it will. I want to show you all our barn loft that's now completed. Now this is our painting operation going on here for our siding, because we have to prime both sides. So lots of that going on here in the barn. But here's the loft. We used reclaimed joists from an old barn for the floor joist. And then we also used reclaimed flooring for the loft. And I want to show you what it looks like up here. So this was our builder's idea. They put on top of the bathroom, which is down here, a way for you to get up. So the stairs kind of turn and go up here. This is the railing. I don't feel like I can even show how cool this looks up here. I just love it. So basically, I wanted you to be able to see through it. So that way, when you're down at the bottom, you can see the hay up here. And then if we ever want to have some kind of event, you're gonna make me nervous, buddy. He wants to show you this door. Here's the hay door.
It's a hunting loft.
I'm gonna show this view too. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay, let's close it, Jude. I think we should put something over that before you use it as a hunting loft.
We're gonna have a table and a seat.
Okay. There's the door that Jude just opened. There we go. So also, if we're ever going to have any kind of event, which I think would be so cool in here, because that whole area is open. We only did the loft on this side of the barn. You could put tables down below the beams on that side where it's open. And then now that we have this railing all the way around, it's safe and it's easy to get up here. You could also put some tables up here, which is just a stunning view to the rest of the barn. And our builders just came up with this whole railing idea. It's very rustic. We used reclaimed barn wood again, so it's very secure. And then Luke had the idea to reinforce it more and to create like a nice little top railing. They put this piece here on, horizontally over top the vertical. So now it's safe and, in my opinion, very beautiful. I'm more excited about this hayloft space than I thought. It's a hayloft, but it's also very beautiful and gives you a lovely view of the timbers. I'm really just so excited with how this barn's coming together. We didn't really know what we were doing, and we've kind of just pieced it together little by little, and it's working excellently. When I have a newborn or any season of life that feels like it could quickly become overwhelming, which right now, of course, we've got a huge project going on. We are building a new house. We have a new baby. I need to simplify as much as possible. And that's what prompted going through all of the kids' clothing and getting it down to the bare essentials so that I never feel overwhelmed with laundry. Well, I'm trying to take that same approach in the kitchen and the pantry by doing a once a month grocery haul. I've never been great about once a month grocery hauls, and I'm honestly not even sure that I even am this time, but I'm doing the best I can. I tried to think of everything that we go through that doesn't really go bad. So things like oils and honey and baking goods like sugar and grains and flour and frozen items, non-perishables, even lots of produce, just trying to get it so stocked that one thing I won't have to think about, won't have to worry about, is ever going to get groceries, and I can just make all of our food right here, which I already do, but I do find myself getting groceries fairly often from lots of different places and sources, which is totally fine. And I'll still have to do that. I'm sure there are plenty of things I didn't think of, or things like milk, for example, we get from a local lady and we'll have to continue to get that. But the basics, I wanted to do like this major stock up. So that's what I did. I got so much raw cheese, so much butter, so many chocolate chips even. I got bags and bags of chocolate chips because we like chocolate chips. We like making cookies, and this time of year, pumpkin muffins. We even got lots of produce. Can you get it to Mommy? Thank you. All right. I also restocked my wheat berries. I needed more hard white and soft white, the ones I use the most often. It's always amazing to me how many groceries I can get and still fit it in.
I didn't build any corner. What? That's how you open it up? Huh? Oh.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining me for some homemaking. I had lots of things that just needed a mother's touch that went on the back burner during my maternity leave, but I'm so glad to be up and about and tending to my home again.